When will I be famous? Could it be magic? And do you know the way to San Jose? But in 1979, this man asked, "Are friends electric?"
Well, I came down here to meet a star. Not Ginger Rogers, but a guy who's flying in and piloting himself. Now, you might have guessed who it is, and you'll soon know if you were right, because here he comes.
I accidentally stumbled across a synthesizer, and when I pressed it, it was huge. Massive, thundering, huge bass sound came out of it. It just blew my head off. Wow, it was one of those eureka moments. Well, that's it.
To be an electronic musician and not be a fan of Gary Numan. In addition to making really remarkable electronic music, he was also a pop star.
You know I hate you all, but the friend's electric.
Originally Gary Webb, briefly Tubeway Army, but to you and me, Gary Numan. Brought up near Heathrow Airport, it wasn't just planes that interested Gazza. He combined pop star ambition with a natural love of the motor.
I distinctly remember him telling me that when he was about 14, that he had this record that was going to make him very famous, and it was called Cars, but he didn't know what it was going to sound like yet.
Cars. What kind of cars? The cars that make hit records.
It was about a road rage incident when I was set upon by some people. And Cars is really about that, how I feel safe in my car, because I can lock my doors and it's like being a little cocoon.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock all my doors. It's the only way to live in cars.
Gary was top of the single and album charts. However, fame has a price, and there are people who wanted to start a robot war.
People think you're surrounded by young girls that are falling over themselves all the time, and it isn't. It's not like that at all. You're surrounded by blokes that would like to take a swing at you, given half a chance.
The image that he portrayed was people weren't sure if he was gay, and if and whether they liked that if he was, or whether they liked it or disliked it.
You never knew if he was gay, straight, or just did it with robots or pieces of kitchen equipment.
He was very disliked by a lot of people.
My dad had a petrol bomb put under his car. Freaks you out, that. Yeah. My mum was under police protection because there was a kidnap threat out on her, which was seriously.
Stakes raised, Gary decided to fold. He announced his retirement from live performances in 1981, just 18 months after his first #1 single.
Probably the biggest mistake of their career, because I spent the next 15 years trying to recover. Because that killed me off.
Microphone hung up, Gary took to the skies and obtained his pilot's licence. But predictably for our Gary, what goes up diddly up dup.
The plane came down on a main road outside the village of Botley near Southampton. I asked Gary exactly what happened before he hit the road.
The left undercarriage broke away and pulled under the aircraft. That pulled it straight again, went into these two trees here, and it just swung it around up into there and dropped down the road. We just missed these power cables.
I'm saying you're lucky to be alive, Gary.
Yeah, I suppose.
It wasn't the only crash landing. By the mid-80s, things were seriously on the slide. Gary's singles weren't being played on the radio, the albums weren't selling, and nothing in his life seemed to be in sync.
Looking at them, just give me the blues.
That was all very embarrassing and demoralising, and I had lost direction completely.
The fantastic Gary Numan!
Jeremy Beadle, and it's Rodney Muse, and of course Paul and Gary Numan off with their umbrellas across the first bit, and already a loop has been broken. We'll fix that.
Hard to believe, but this wasn't rock bottom. Despite his obstacle course prowess, Gary's self-financed pop projects were a disaster.
He was over $500,000 in debt. We were borrowing here to pay the borrowing from there, and we sold almost everything we had.
They were very tough times, and I think that affected him, and to a degree brought him down to earth a bit, and he had to try a lot harder.
American Express, who are now paying me a substantial amount of money to use my music, took my credit cards off me because I couldn't pay it. It was strange.
Ad Men to the rescue. Their dosh helped the cash crisis, and Gary even started to sell some records.
Gary just kept going. He kept going, and gradually, over the course of time, it started being up.
And that coinciding with meeting Gemma and getting my private life sorted out and becoming married, and just, my private life just went from being rubbish to perfect.
To Gemma.
In 1997, Gary married longtime fan Gemma O'Neill.
Yeah, I was such a fan when I was sort of 11, 12, and I decided I wanted to be friends with Toyah and I wanted to marry Gary Numan. Those were the two things I wanted.
Over the space of a year or two, kicking off the Random album, I went from being a has-been laughingstock to being talked about as being an influential, credible artist, of the last 20 years.
Gary's kept the makeup, but ditched the synths and moved into the world of rock.
Gary has made that move and has actually been received by the rock press and by rock fans in a very credible way.
It's not been an easy career, but I think to have been all through what I've been through and to suddenly find myself back now where I am, I'm very happy with it.
Time to recharge our batteries.